2 years there was little in the way of land conflict, but amidst much naval manoeuvring on the high seas, which led, amongst other things, to Spain joining forces with France in 1804, a large French army massed on the French coast and menaced Britain with invasion. No fleet of landing craft set sail, however, and in August 1805 the danger receded altogether. Whereas in 1803 Britain had stood alone, the summer of 1805 had seen a powerful anti-French coalition come together. Alongside Britain there now stood Austria, Russia, Sweden and Naples, and so the French armies were soon marching east to deal with the new threat. A Franco-Spanish fleet was destroyed at Trafalgar, but the Austrians were defeated at Ulm and the Russians at Austerlitz. Badly beaten, Austria made peace, and for a brief moment it appeared that Britain and Russia might follow her example. Even had this happened, it is unlikely Europe would have been able to keep the peace. Following the outbreak of a revolt in Serbia in 1804, the Ottoman Empire was rapidly sliding towards war with Russia, such a conflict eventually breaking out in the autumn of 1806. But all chances of peace with France were soon at an end. Neither Britain nor Russia was able to obtain the compromise peace that they sought, or at least not in an acceptable form. And then, in September, an increasingly desperate Prussia attacked Napoleon. There followed further great battles. The Prussians were crushed at Jena and Auerstedt, while a French invasion of Poland led in February 1807 to the terrible slaughter on the blizzard-swept field of Eylau. For a moment Napoleon was checked, but the coming of summer saw a new offensive that led to another French triumph at Friedland, whereupon the Tsar of Russia, Alexander I, decided to make peace. This settlement was a turning point. Following the victories of the past 2 years, Napoleon was at the height of his power. Crowned Emperor of France in December 1804, he now presided over a vast empire. Over the past few years, the satellite republics inherited from the 1790s had been joined by new territories, and the whole now constituted a series of monarchies ruled by one or other of Napoleon's many brothers and sisters. These principalities included Holland, the German states of Westphalia and Berg, the Kingdom of Italy, roughly speaking the valley of the River Po, and Naples. Many other areas, meanwhile, Belgium, the Rhineland, Piedmont, had been annexed to France, and varying degrees of control were also enjoyed in Germany, where the old Holy Roman Empire had been replaced by a new confederation of the Rhine and Poland, part of which had been organized into yet another satellite state known as the Grand Duchy of Warsaw. With Spain, a loyal ally, and Russia in effect persuaded to join Napoleon in his war against Britain, the way was open for final victory, to achieve which the Emperor instigated a continent-wide embargo on British trade that is generally referred to as the Continental System. Napoleon completely failed to exploit this opportunity, and it is often said that in 1808 he made the greatest mistake of his career by turning on his Spanish allies and overthrowing the Bourbon monarchy in favour of his brother Joseph Bonaparte. Such an assessment, however, is short-sighted. The Spanish adventure may have plunged France into a long and devastating war, which was to seesaw back and forth on the Iberian Peninsula for the next 5 years, but in itself this was not a disaster. Exerting a greater degree of control in Spain made sense in terms of both Napoleon's war against Britain and the partition of the Ottoman Empire, which he was certainly considering by 1808, whilst the war there was by no means unwinnable. The real error was Napoleon's treatment of the rest of the continent. Such was the loathing and distrust with which Britain was regarded in Germany, Italy, Scandinavia, Austria and Russia, that a policy of conciliation and respect might well have won the Emperor the active support of the whole of Europe, and made it very difficult for Britain to continue the war. From the beginning, however, the Napoleonic imperium showed itself to be bent on nothing more than exploitation. Even the reforms that it brought in amounted to little more than attempts to produce more men and money. And for the other powers it was clear that what faced them was in effect complete subjugation to Paris. Realizing this, Austria, like Prussia before her, made a last-ditch attempt to assert her independence in 1809, only to be defeated at Wagram. This victory